So there are so many stories in the book, and there are some that I find very surprising. So you mentioned being an easy mark for fundraisers. I'm fascinated by the fact that if someone sends me something I don't want, sort of address stickies to put on an envelope that most people don't use anymore, or some free notebook or something, I'm fascinated by the fact that oversimplifying, that is more likely to lead to a gift to the charitable organization. So to start with that example, can you explain that a little bit? Why is it that receiving something that we don't necessarily want leads us to give when we might not otherwise have considered doing so, or to give more if we were already postured to give?
It has to do with one of the basic rules of social influence, or principles of influence, the one called reciprocity, reciprocation. It exists in all human cultures. There's not a single human society that fails to train its children in this rule from the outset. You must not take without giving in return. We have, in every language, we have very nasty names for people who take without giving in return. And so we're taught from childhood not to be, there are all these terms. You can be called a moocher or a taker or an ingrate and so on. Nobody wants to be labeled like that. So we have an automatic tendency, if we have received, to give back to those who have first given to us. And normally that makes great sense. That's the reason it's taught. It builds societies with coalitions and cooperative approaches. If one person gives and another person does not return that, it ends the interaction. It ends the partnership. And societies thrive on partnerships. So I think that's the reason I'm as guilty as you. And when somebody gives me something, I'm even in the process of searching for a no, I'm overwhelmed very often by the intensity of that tendency in me.
So I'm always